Hello and welcome to the People's Politics first interview leading up to the election this May. We are joined here by Cambridge MP, Lib Dem, Dr. Julian Huppert. Welcome, Julian.
Hi Sam, how are you?
Okay, I'm good, thank you. Tax avoidance has come up a lot recently in news, so I want to know what concrete steps should we take in clamping down on tax avoidance?
So firstly, tax evasion is illegal. Yeah. We need to be really firm about prosecuting people who engage in it, and it's not something we should just turn a blind eye to. We have actually got, for the first time, a new unit in HMRC looking at tax evasion, really focusing on that. Tax avoidance, of course, some of it is a perfectly sensible thing to do if you put money into an ISA.
Yeah, I think it's clear, we're talking about against the spirit.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
ISAs are government, it's not against the spirit of the law because it's a government
exactly.
promise.
And so that's the key thing, is if you are doing something for the purpose it was intended for, an ISA is there to encourage you to save, fine. Otherwise, if you're abusing the system, then it should not be okay. So we've introduced a general anti-abuse rule, because what used to happen is there were whole lots of loopholes. We've closed a good chunk of them, but there's still more. And it used to be that if you could find a clever loophole, you could save a lot of money. So we've come up with a new thing, which says if what you're doing is an abuse of the system, then it doesn't count. Whatever. So rather than us constantly having to plug all the loopholes, it's like, if you found this clever loophole, it's clearly a dodge, it doesn't count. So I think that's one of the things which we'd like to do. I'd like to go further with having a general anti-avoidance rule, which would mean it doesn't just have to be abusive, but anything where you're using it for the purpose so far from what it was intended, so that people actually pay the fair share. Because it's not right that big companies, rich individuals, manage to pay so much lower rates. So that's really important. So we would have a tax dodging bill in the next Parliament, so I'd be very, very keen to do, which would tighten up that, make sure we apply the sanctions properly, but also make sure that we have a simple enough and clear enough system so that the rules are clear to everybody and nobody can say, well, it was just so complicated I thought I could get away with this. Because it really, quite rightly, annoys people who are paying the right amount of money to see other people getting away with that.
Do you think that, this is a quote from the House of Commons Public Accounts Committee, who said they, meaning the big four accountancy firms, use their expertise to tell their clients, so the rich people who can afford these accountants, how to get around legislation that they help draft. So would you see it as a thing to get rid of these big accountancy firms actually helping draft the bills that they then help their clients get around, or do you think it's a necessary thing to have them there?
I think listening to their expertise is very useful. I think I have no problem with that. They can be far too involved. I think the largest donor other than trade unions to the Labour Party was PwC, which I think says a lot about how they're going about doing it. So I think we need to break away from that. That is too close. Asking accountants for advice is one thing. Bringing them right on the inside to do it is too much. But it's also, we have this incredibly complex tax system. And that's the big problem, is that only those people in those very specialists can really understand it. We need a system which makes more sense. And if we had this general anti-avoidance rule, then it would mean they couldn't put in a loophole and then find it, because they'd be caught by the same rule. So that has to be where we go, so that accountants can have a perfectly good role in helping people with their accounts, coming up with interesting ideas, new business models, whatever it might be. But we need to cut down on that space where they can earn a huge amount of money by helping people fiddle with their taxes.